Good morning. Good morning. Welcome back to Bookeemonsters. My name is PK. It is Tuesday, April the 8th, and we're here to look at new releases that are published this week in the different genres. And on Tuesdays, we look at crime fiction and thrillers. Quick announcements. I do have sprints tonight at 8 p.m. Eastern. They go for 2.5 hours. I do them every Tuesday and Thursday evening and Saturday afternoons. Good morning, Mary. How you doing? Happy Tuesday. Crime is afoot and thrills are in the air. Yes, they are. And we are here to meet that challenge. After a sip of coffee. Just now. Sunny but cold here in Virginia. 31 this morning, and the heat is on. How's the weather there? Well, yesterday morning we started at 31 and ended in the mid-70s. Today I think we're supposed to get in the 60s. So spring is springing. It's going sproing. First up, The Maid's Secret, number 3 in Molly the Maid series by Anita Prose. That is a yellow cover. Molly Gray's life is about to change in ways she could never have imagined. As the esteemed head maid and special events manager of the Regency Grand Hotel, two good things are just around the corner. A taping of the hit Antiquities TV show Hidden Treasures, and even more exciting, her wedding to Juan Manuel. When Molly brings in some old trinkets to be appraised on the show, one item is revealed to be a rare and coveted artifact worth millions. Molly becomes a rags to riches sensation, and a media frenzy swirls as she prepares to sell her priceless treasure. Then, on auction day, the treasure suddenly vanishes, and Molly and her friends find themselves at the center of the boldest art heist in recent memory. But the key to this mystery lies in the past, in a long-forgotten diary written by Molly's gran. For the first time ever, Molly learns about her grandmother's secrets, how she was born into a wealthy family and fell head over heels in love with a young man her parents deemed below her. As fate would have it, Gran's greatest love was someone Molly knows quite well. A spirited heist caper and an epic love story. The Margaret Code by Richard Houghton. And how's my mom doing? And Steve? Steve's doing well. Doing very, very well. He's doing exercises for this hand. Mom had a very bad night, Sunday night, but she's rallying, and I visited her last night after work for a couple hours. I'll be there again tomorrow night. My shift is Monday and Wednesday. My niece is going to visit her today. And Mary says, reminds me a little of the Handmaid's Tale cover, only it is red. Yeah. And Kim, good morning. 44 here this morning. Oof. And Mary says, hi, Kim. Hope you are well. Indeed. The Margaret Code. Margaret Winterbottom, 89, has lived on Garnon Crescent her entire life, except for a few years she never talks about. She knows all the neighbors, their lives, their hopes, their heartbreaks. Only recently, Margaret's memory isn't what it used to be. She's sure Barbara, her best friend and neighbor, told her something very important. But what? When Barbara is found dead in an apparent homicide, Margaret is determined to recover the missing memory. Margaret and her grandson James begin investigating, but soon strange things begin happening in her home. Objects moving and cropping up in odd places, the television turning on by itself. Some believe her memory is worsening, but Margaret knows somebody wants her out of the way because she holds the key to solving the case. If only she could recall where she put it. This Is Not a Game by Kelly Mullen. We're getting quite the colors on this top row. Mary, my plate is full these days. Indeed. We're hoping our service manager comes back today. He has not been back since his surgery. Kim, thanks, Mary. Meh, tired. I get it. I get it. Mary, I wanted to stay snuggled in my warm bed this morning, but the girls wanted up. So guess what? We got up. They rule. They always rule. And you're a good mom. Widow Mimi lives on idyllic Mackinac Island, where cars are not allowed and a Gibson martini with 3 onions at the witching hour is compulsory. Her estranged granddaughter Addie is getting over the heartbreak of not only being dumped by her fiance Brian, but also being cut out of the deal for a brilliantly successful video game Murderscape they invented together, with Addie doing most of the heavy lifting. When Mimi gets an invitation from local socialite Jane Ireland, a 70-something narcissist who's having a salacious affair with her son-in-law, to a charity auction, she invites Addie. But Mimi doesn't tell her that a blackmail threat from Jane looms over the party's invitation. Once they arrive, a big storm rolls in, trapping everyone in the mansion. And then Jane is murdered. Soon, Mimi and Addie's strained relationship is put to the test when they must team up to narrow down the suspects. When another body turns up, the sleuthing pair realize someone is playing a deadly game, and they might not survive the night. Eat, Slay, Love by Julie May Cohen. A delicious new novel about 3 very different women and what unites them: the man they're holding hostage. A friend will help you move on. A best friend will help you move his body. Marina gave up her career as a chef to raise her children, but her divorce has left her harried, lonely, and the black sheep of her family. It's also left her in dire financial straits. Opal is a postmenopausal fitness guru who spends her days chasing likes and followers in an industry that worships youth. Even her glossy online persona can't mask her checkered past. Lila is a shy and optimistic librarian who spends her days tending to the stacks until she wins an unbelievable sum in the lottery. With a growing bank account and a dashing fiance, life seems too good to be true. And it just might be. These 3 women have nothing in common except for one thing: the man who's been lying to them all, and who they now hold hostage in Marina's basement. As this shared secret brings them closer together, other deadlier problems come crashing into their lives. Can they put their differences aside to save themselves and each other? Well, there's a twist. End of row 1. I was thinking that too, Mary. I guess I don't have any best friends. Nobody moving friends for me. I was thinking that too. I don't have that kind of friend. So I better not get in that situation. Murder at Gull's Nest by Jess Kidd. I believe every one of us at Gull's Nest is concealing some kind of secret. 1954. When her former novice's dependable letters stop, Nora Breen asked to be released from her vows. Haunted by a line in Frida's letter, Nora arrives at Gull's Nest, a charming hotel in Gore-on-Sea in Kent. A seaside town, a place of fresh air and relaxed constraints, is the perfect place for a new start. Nora hides her identity and pries into the lives of her fellow guests. That's always a good idea. But when a series of bizarre murders rattles the occupants of Gull's Nest, it's time to ask if a dark past can ever really be left behind. The Impossible Thing by Belinda Bauer. Oops. Blurbage. This has got great blurbage. Lee Child and Val McDermott. How do you find something that doesn't exist? 1926. And it's historical. On the cliffs of Yorkshire, men are lowered on ropes to steal the eggs of the seabirds, who nest there. The most beautiful are sold for large sums. A small girl, penniless and neglected by her family, retrieves one such treasure. Its discovery will forever alter the course of her life. A century later, in a remote cottage in Wales, Patrick Fort finds his friend Nick and his mother tied up and robbed. The only thing missing, a carved case containing an incredible scarlet egg. Doggedly attempting to retrieve it, Patrick and Nick discover the cruel world of egg trafficking and soon find themselves on the trail of a priceless collection of eggs lost to history. Until now. Yeah, I have too much other stuff to read. Fairhaven. Doesn't that look like the title page of a TV show about a family of rich people taking advantage of a family of not so rich people? Fairhaven by Laurie A. Egan. A picturesque riverside town, a safe, serene, friendly place. And then one sunny summer afternoon in 1994, Sally Ann Schaefer is electrocuted in her hot tub. Who did it? One of her many lovers? Her husband, a thief? A jealous colleague at her tennis club? Fairhaven is suddenly embroiled in suspicion, interpersonal conflict, blackmail, financial fraud, and murder. And it talks about the primary characters. There's a beagle. Primary characters include Chris Clark, who is hired to photograph the crime scene and is involved with Kate Morgan, a woman fighting for custody for her son. Kate has a past history with Sally Ann Schaefer. The police chief, Ray Mackey, an experienced cop who must step aside in the homicide investigation in favor of Vincent Rivera, his nephew. Rivera reports to Major Crimes Bureau and the county prosecutor's office. Other important players are blah, 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 blah. Well, if this were a TV movie, you know the biggest name on the bill would be the killer. What Remains of Teague House by Stacey Johns. All families are complicated. Not all families have bodies buried in their backyard. One put there just that week. When the Rollins family matriarch unexpectedly passes, all three adult children rush home. What they find is a house bursting with grief, dark memories surfacing around each other, and multiple bodies buried deep in the woods. The Rollins want to believe the discovery points to a crime long past. But one of the graves behind Teague House is fresh, and the earth disturbed just that week, and its inhabitant a local woman they all knew. Is the youngest Rollins sibling with something to hide somehow involved in her murder? Is his sister experiencing false memories of her late father digging near the graves? And why is the Rollins aunt in such a rush to leave town after her sister's funeral? Enter private detective Maddie Reed, who has her own reasons for being curious about the bodies buried behind Teague House. Maddie sets out to unmask a killer, one she may have been hunting all her life. And no, they don't compare it to Knives Out, which is shocking. End of row 2. Deadly Desperate Widows. Second in the Widows series. By Kimberly Bell, Lane Fargo, Kate Holohan, and Vanessa Lilly. Sounds a little crowded. Set in neon-drenched Providence, Rhode Island, circa 1987, just 2 years after a plane carrying 4 mafia-affiliated law firm partners exploded over the Atlantic along with the cushy lives of their once wealthy wives. Now Crystal fights to keep their fallen law firm afloat. Justine hustles as a lawyer in training. Meredith owns and operates the strip club where she once danced, and Camille orchestrates honeypot schemes for scorned women until one of her arrangements goes terribly wrong, and she becomes implicated in the debauched Mayor Tom's mysterious murder in the champagne room. With everything on the line, the widows must join forces once more, but as the conspiracy unravels beyond the mayor's demise, their search for justice pits first wife against second wife and widow against widow. With the widow's fragile bond now tested, will the women cement their friendships, or is loyalty a luxury they just cannot afford? I don't recall talking about the first one, but we've been doing this for over a year. We've been doing this for 2 years, almost. Hard Town by Adam Plantinga. That's a fun name. This is second in the Kurt Argento series. Mary says, reminds me a little of Arsenic and Old Lace and digging locks in the basement. True. That is such a classic. I love the triple take that Cary Grant does in Arsenic and Old Lace movie. Oh, my knee. Gotta move. After surviving a deadly prison break, Ex-Detroit cop Kurt and Argento, I can speak, is ready for some quiet. Still working through his grief over the passing of his wife, Argento finds himself house-sitting for a friend with his loyal companion Hudson, a chow shepherd mix. Whatever. It's a simple life, but it's one that Argento is content to live. Then Kristen Reed shows up, begging Argento to find her missing husband and son. Argento starts to notice that Fenton, Arizona is more than meets the eye. First, there's the large, overly equipped public safety team complete with specialized tactics and sophisticated weaponry. Then there's the unusual financial boosting of failing small businesses by the U.S. government. Finally, there's a man with no name with unprecedented control over the town. Argento finds himself unraveling not just the truth behind the disappearance of a family, but a conspiracy that's taken a whole town to cover up. Fenton, Arizona is going to push him further than he's ever had to go. And along the way, he may just lose a part of himself because justice isn't as black and white as Argento would like to believe. And does he refer to himself in the third person? Because that was a lot of Argentos there. Remote, The Six by Eric Rickstad, first in the Remote series. A serial killer is rampaging across the country, tying families to chairs arranged in puzzling tableaus, then murdering them without leaving a trace of evidence. FBI Special Agent Lucas Stark has been hunting the tableau killer for 18 months, but is always 2 steps behind in a maze of dead ends. He has no understanding of why the killer stages the scenes so meticulously or chooses entire families. Burning out, Stark is forced to take on a new partner, Gilles Garnier. Garnier, an odd loner with a vague past, claims he's a remote viewer who sees people, places, and events far away. Remote, as if they're right in front of him. Stark knows this sort. Cons. Wannabes desperate to worm their way into a sensational case. Stark dismisses his new partner as a fraud until Garnier precisely describes a new tableau killer crime scene from hundreds of miles away. As Stark and Garnier track the tableau killer across the country, they start to believe they finally have the advantage, but Garnier's ability to remote view fails him and leaves him ill and weak. Then Stark realizes how the killer has stayed ahead of them all this time. The reason is more terrifying than either man can fathom. They face a killer who may be unstoppable and stand at the abyss of a conspiracy so ominous it shakes their reality to the core. The Cut by C.J. Dotson. Oh, supernatural horror. Bleh. A woman fleeing her abusive ex finds herself running from more than just her past. We don't really do horror. Moving on. The Missing Floor by Martin Hill Ortiz, second in the Skyline Murder Mysteries. A dead dame, a psychotic mobster, Alan and Lorraine Priest seek clues to a murder among Prohibition gangsters, corrupt police, and Broadway stars. Manhattan, 1928. When Alan Priest, reporter for the New York World, discovers a body at the demolition site for the new Chrysler building, both his and his wife Lorraine's lives are thrown into turmoil. Can they navigate the worlds of vicious mobsters, corrupt police, and Broadway stars to find the killer? That's exactly what we just said. Let's go to the Kindle version. Their Monstrous Hearts, a gothic horror novel. Where are all these horror movies coming in? Skip. The Sideways Life of Denny Voss by Holly Kennedy. On the surface, Denny Voss's life in rural Minnesota is a quiet one. At 30 years old, he lives at home with his elderly mother and his beloved blind and deaf St. Bernard, George. He cleans up roadkill to help pay the bills. Though his prospects are limited by a developmental delay, the result of an accident at birth, Denny has always felt that he has a good life. So how did he wind up being charged with the murder of a mayoral candidate after crashing a sled full of guns into a tree? As Denny awaits trial, his court-appointed therapist walks him through the events of the past year. Denny's had other scuffles with the law, the first for kidnapping a neighbor's cantankerous goose. And then there was the time he accidentally assisted in a bank robbery. It seems like whenever Denny tries to do the right thing, chaos ensues. Untangling the events around the murder reveals even more painful truths about his family's past. He's always been surrounded by people who love him, but now it's up to Denny to set his life on a new course. And that's all we have, minus 2 accidental horror movies. Horror books. So there's some interesting ones, but I am marked safe from pursuing any of them, which is good. I have so much to read right now. I like that concept of remote viewing tied to a mystery. True, have a friend who did remote viewing for the feds a long time ago and saw the Pueblo before. She's going to continue that. I believe in that ability, yes. And it's nice when they use that ability to help investigations. All right. That is it. Tomorrow we'll be looking at romance. I've not taken a peek, so I don't know if there's anything good there or not. I'll be setting that up today. All right. And Kim says, have a great day, y'all. Ball game tonight. Are you going to go to lunch, Kim? Mary says, thanks so much. Hope you and Kim have a good day. Off to Bede with friends this morning. Oh, good. So will Miss Randy and Rosanna. Have fun. Stay warm, too. Indeed. You, too. Goodness. All right. So I do have sprints tonight, 8 p.m. Eastern time. They go for 2.5 hours. Hope you have a good Tuesday, guys. Thank you guys so much for watching. You plan to? Awesome. All right, everybody, please be safe, be warm or cool wherever you are. And as the banner says, don't be a bookworm, be a bookie monster. Om nom nom. Have a good day. God bless.